Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Vibing with Sleazy, the podcast. This is season 7, episode 16. This is part 2 of my 2026 NFL draft coverage. On episode 15 was part 1, where I went over round 1 of the NFL draft. I gave my picks, went over the team selections of how I think it's going to play out using the research that I did. And in episode 16, I'm going to go over round 2. The NFL draft is coming from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, home of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Pittsburgh's all geared up. Like I mentioned in episode 15, I already seen tons of media up there, and Tops is sponsoring on the field there, the NFL draft thing. So everyone is very geared up and excited. Pittsburgh's a beautiful city. Even being a Bengals fan, I have to give it credit. I love going to Pittsburgh, and so I'm really happy they got the NFL draft up there. But with the second round, I am again just going over what I think and think how it's going to play out. I'm actually releasing these episodes the morning of the draft, so it gets you ready, and round 2 is going to play out through the weekend. So we got round 1 on Thursday night, which is going to be big time. And Mendoza from Indiana, the quarterback, is predicted to be the number 1 pick there in the round 1 going to the Las Vegas Raiders. So let's start off with round 2. Again, round 2 is still very exciting because there's always sleeper picks. There's players that make that board. There's key fantasy football players to take in your future fantasy football teams this year. So really excited to go over this. So overall, the New York Jets, number 33, they are who start off the second round. And I believe they're going to get Jadarian Price, the running back out of Notre Dame. He's going to be there. I think he'll be available. I think they need some offensive weapons, and I'm really excited to see how that plays out with Jadarian Price, kicking off the beginning of the second round draft. The number 34 pick is the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're going to go with Ty Simpson, the quarterback, Alabama. Ty Simpson was very loyal to Alabama. He had a decent college career. He was up in the Heisman talks, but um, I just believe Arizona needs a quarterback. They need somebody to really bank on, and Jacoby Brissett's not going to be it. They lost Kyler Murray to the Minnesota Vikings, so I believe Arizona's really going to invest and go with Ty Simpson there. The Tennessee Titans come with the 35th pick, and I believe that they could go chase Bisantis, the offensive guard out of Texas A&M. He's very agile, powerful, smart, and I think he can also move different positions there on the offensive line. So it's going to be somebody that can really strengthen their depth chart. Number 36, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. Like I mentioned in episode 15, round 1, they spent a lot of money this offseason. They really, really pushed to get big key players, big key names. That trade fell through with Max Crosby to Baltimore. So Las Vegas is just looking to bring some talent in there and looking to definitely bring defensive weapons. They want to be one of the strongest teams in the NFL on defense, and they're really doing it with the moves they've made and with Max Crosby coming back. The number 36 pick is also for the Raiders. I believe, all the hype is going to Mendoza, so it's going to be cool to see kind of how the Raiders play out with that additional draft. New York Giants, Peter Woods, the defensive tackle out of Clemson. I think New York's going to go for a defensive tackle. You got rid of Dexter Lawrence, who went to the Cincinnati Bengals, which this shook up the whole entire 2026 NFL draft. And I just believe that, you know, I think with his quickness, power, and untapped potential, he could be a first rounder, but I think Peter Woods will make it. I believe number 38 pick, the Houston Texans, is going to take Caleb Banks, the defensive tackle out of Florida. This will be the first Gator, I believe, selected in the NFL draft. The SEC was very, very strong this year. So anybody coming from an SEC school, I think, can really bring it. And I just believe that he could even be somebody that could bring top 20 selection if my picks aren't right. But overall, I just believe he's very dominant, and he'll be a great pick for the Houston Texans, who already really know how to do well on defense, especially with their coach as well. Number 39 is Cleveland Browns' A.J. Halsey, the safety out of LSU. I believe that Halsey's big hits and ball skills will be an ideal complement to Myles Garrett. Again, Houston, I think adding Caleb Banks would be a great key to help Will Anderson. Same thing with AJ Halsey. I think he's going to come in and help Garrett, really, really make this defense a big time. And then, Cleveland, don't sleep on the rookie of the year last year, the defensive one, Carson Schweitzer. Huge, huge year, and I think he's going to be big. Cleveland's going to have some good defense. The number 40 picks, the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe that they're going to go offensive tackle. I believe the reason they could go offensive tackle, uh, it's just that they again need some really, really key players there of the offense. Some experts are actually saying that with Utah, they have that Lomu, who is going to be somebody that a lot of people bank on and really, really like. But I believe that also you could also see. I'm trying to think of, Blake Miller from Clemson. I could see him sliding into there. So it could. I already had Utah's guy going in the first round, so I'm gonna say Blake Miller. I think Blake Miller can, from Clemson. I think he can make an impact there. Cincinnati Bengals. I think they're going to go cornerback. This will be their first appearance in the NFL draft, and I think Avian Terrell could be a big pick that could slide in there. But I feel like this could be something where Terrell could also be in that first round. And doing this round two coverage here, it's like doing my research, I go back and forth because so much stuff changes each day and different things. But where I could also see Traydon Stukes, the cornerback out of Arizona, slide into that position there for the Cincinnati Bengals. So with me already having Terrell going there in the first round, I think Arizona's guy slides in there. Number 42, the New Orleans Saints, Zion Young, the edge out of Missouri. I just think the Saints really need some defensive help. They also need some offensive help. And, I just think that once they get a guy in that can average 10 sacks a game, excuse me, not a game, a season, I believe that Zion Young, he can bring that. And another guy from the SEC, Missouri played some good SEC football this year. The Miami Dolphins, number 43. I believe that they're going to pick TJ Parker, the edge out of Cleveland, or excuse me, Clemson. I believe with the Miami Dolphins, they're going to need help all across the board. They're going to be in a huge rebuild with a new coach. And I believe TJ Parker, he's going to bring that impact as an edge from Clemson down there. The number 44, I got an Indiana Hoosier going there from the national championship team. I got D'Angelo Pons, the cornerback out of Indiana. They need secondary help big time. And, Sauce Gardner's gone. And I believe D'Angelo Pons is going to be that guy. And I think Aaron Glenn, who was a defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, who that's how he kind of banked on getting this head coaching job, I believe he is going to really help Pons' career. Number 45, I got the Baltimore Ravens. I got Cassius Howe, the edge out of Texas A&M. And I believe the Ravens, they need defensive help. That Max Crosby trade going down. The only concerns, he has very stubby arms, and he's also, you know, kind of a smaller guy, but he for that position. But I believe he's very, very fast with that boost off the rush. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I got going Gabe Chakos, the edge out of Illinois. Tampa Bay needs defense, and like I mentioned in the episode 15, Todd Bowles, he can mold defensive players, and Tampa Bay's got those offensive weapons. I think defensively, they need some guys where even though they have awesome offensive weapons, Mike Evans is gone. I believe that Tampa, they might not always be on offense a lot, and they might have to rely on the defense to even score points as well. Indianapolis coach Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker out of Texas Tech. I think this is going to be huge. I think Indianapolis coaches have been so focused on offense that having a big linebacker, especially out of that Texas Tech football program, is going to be huge for them. Number 48, I got the Atlanta Falcons selecting Christian Miller, the defensive tackle out of Georgia. Kevin Stefanski, he's starting his new era. Miller's 21, and I just believe that he's got the frame and the intangibles to be a long-time NFL starter. Number 49 pick is the Minnesota Vikings. I got them picking C.J. Allen, the linebacker out of Georgia. Another big name out of Georgia, another big name NFL-wise coming out of that SEC that can make an impact quickly. And, Brian Flores is now the highest paid defensive coordinator in NFL history, rumored that it's 6 million plus per year. So overall, I believe that, Flores is going to be very, very invested with the Vikings defense, and him getting CJ Allen is going to be huge, especially being that SEC guy. The Detroit Lions, number 50 pick. I got them taking Jake Galladay, the linebacker out of Cincinnati. He plays very physical. He's very, very intense, and I believe Dan Campbell will appreciate him, and Dan Campbell will really get him involved in that defense. Number 51, I got the Carolina Panthers, Jermaine Bernard, the wide receiver out of Alabama. I believe that he's going to be a huge weapon. Tatora McMillan last year with the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Bryce Young really stepping up. I already mentioned in the round one, I think they're going to go tight end. So I think this is going to be a huge pick for them, and especially an SEC guy, Jermaine Bernard. You never can go wrong with an Alabama wide receiver. Number 52, I got the Green Bay Packers selecting Jermon McCoy, the cornerback out of Tennessee. That is a guy from the first round that I also mentioned could slide up there. If for any reason there was that, possible fallback, I could see Brandon Sissy, the cornerback out of South Carolina, taking that. So that's where on some of my picks, I might mention them for round two, also mention them round one, but I'm giving you that alternate option where they could slide in if that, did happen or that did end up switching up. I believe too that that is going to be a huge pick because Green Bay, they're not mentioned a lot in this NFL draft here, especially in the early rounds. 53, Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're going to pick Mason Thomas, the edge out of Oklahoma. Even though I mentioned they need such offensive weapons, I think they're going to get that wide receiver in round one who can back up DK, give them some offensive threat, and then believe Mason Thomas will bring that defensive threat that they really need. Number 54, the Philadelphia Eagles. Deshaun Stribling, the wide receiver out of Mississippi, an Ole Miss guy replacing an Ole Miss guy. AJ Brown's most likely going to move on to the Patriots, and he played at Ole Miss. And I believe that this guy, being 6'2", 207 pounds, he's going to be a huge, huge player for the Eagles, and that's what the Eagles need. Number 55, the Los Angeles Chargers, Emmanuel Pregnon, the offensive guard out of Oregon. I believe they can really do some key things with him. Harbaugh will mold him well. Like I said, Harbaugh might not go all the way in for that guy who had the injuries I mentioned in round one, but I believe this could be a very, very key play for them. Number 56, the Jacksonville Jaguars, now finally getting some action in the NFL draft. Jennings Dunker, the offensive guard out of Iowa. Iowa was very, very good last year in college football, and I just believe Dunker will add that nastiness to the front that Jacksonville needs to protect Trevor Lawrence. Number 57, the Chicago Bears. I got them picking Anthony Hill Jr., the linebacker out of Texas. Texas, they always produce good players, and I just believe Anthony Hill Jr., a linebacker, will be good when Caleb's not having to sling the ball and come back. This will maybe keep the games a little more competitive for the Bears when, defense is lacking and offense is killing it. The San Francisco 49ers, number 58, even though they landed Mike Evans, they still need offensive weapons. And I got the guy coming out of my city, Louisville, Chris Bell, the wide receiver. Christian Kirk has also added a deal out there, but they're only 1 year deals. And I believe Bell is going to give them that juice and depth, and it's really going to be a big time deal for San Francisco. And I think he can get some catches this year. Number 59, the Houston Texans. I got them picking Mike Washington Jr., the running back out of Arkansas. SEC guy. I believe they're going to like him, and I believe this will be a very bold selection. But there's shades of AP in this guy's play. Very, very intense runner. Number 60, the Chicago Bears. I got them getting Jalen Kilgore, the defensive back out of South Carolina. Again, like I mentioned, need help on defense. They seem like they got it together in offense. Let's see what they can do for the Bears defense, especially in that tough division. Number 61, the Los Angeles Rams, somebody who I think is going to bring the offensive heat next year in the NFL, but Josiah Trotter, the linebacker out of Missouri. I believe him being an SEC guy, he can bring that intensity, and I believe he'll play really, really well. And I believe he's got that, very bold fire that can help make them have a Super Bowl run if LA can do it. Number 62, the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton. I think he's going to take Max Clare, the tight end of Ohio State. I believe after they got Jalen Waddle, they really need some ways to take advantage of that tight end option there for Denver. And I believe that Max Clare will be that star rookie tight end for them because Denver's going to have a really good year. Number 63, the New England Patriots. I got K'Ron Crawford, the edge out of Auburn. This is a guy that it could go either way. I think that they're definitely going to need somebody for that defensive route there in New England. So I think this will help because I believe they already got the offense rolling out. And then to finish up round two, number 64, the 64th pick of round two is going to the Super Bowl champs, the Seattle Seahawks. And I believe they're going to take Derek Moore, the edge out of Michigan. They're going to add a Wolverine. I think the Seahawks, they want to add quick wins and they want someone with a good upfield burst, lean strength, and grit. And I believe Derek Moore, the edge out of Michigan, is really going to bring that. So I want to thank everybody for listening for my NFL draft coverage. It's been a blast. I love the NFL draft. I love the NFL season coming up with fantasy and football. So it's always fun to go over this, and it's always fun to see these college guys make their dreams come true. So vibingwithsleazy.com is the website, Vibing with Sleazy the podcast, Facebook, Instagram. The NFL draft starts Thursday, April 23rd from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Round one is episode 15. That's the part one. And then part two, which is round two of the NFL draft, is this episode here. So I hope I've got you ready for the NFL draft. You know where the teams are picking now, and hopefully my picks will line up. And even if I thought, hey, this guy could either go round one or round two, I gave you that alternate selection. So this is my picks. This is the NFL draft coverage. Bible Season the podcast. Love y'all. Peace.